Well, welcome everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. We have a very distributed group today across time zones around the world. My name is Russell, and I work with the International Enrollment Management Office here at Kunshan University. And I am just so happy to see you here today. You are our biggest group ever at a student experience panel, and we're just delighted to have you here to learn more about the student experience at DKU. So our program today will be pretty straightforward. We've got a group of students who are going to serve as our panelists, and they are going to respond to some questions, pretty much some of the most common questions we tend to get. And we're always saying, "Oh, that'd be a great question for a student." So we're going to ask the panelists these questions today, and they will be responding. Now, we also have a couple students who were going to be managing our chat because throughout the session that we're having right now, you are welcome to pop questions into the chat throughout. We won't be doing a Q&A at the end, but you can put questions into the chat at any point during the session. So we have the current students who I'll introduce here shortly who will be answering those questions, who are dedicated to the chat. Of course, our panelists, as they're able, they might pop in as well. I also have a couple colleagues here. Some of you may be familiar with Nicole and Allison, who will also be in the chat to answer questions that might be more of an admissions related. We know we get a lot of questions about that as well, especially with our early decision deadline looming very closely, it seems, on November 3rd. Without further ado, let's move on to the students. So I'm going to ask the students to introduce themselves, just give you a little bit of insight into what their background is, some of their interests, which will help, inform maybe some of the questions that you might be interested in. Certainly, you'll be able to hear more about that as we navigate through the panel. So I'm going to begin with Kyan. Please, the mic is yours.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Kyan. I'm from Jamaica. I'm a junior at DKU, but I'm at Duke right now. So as you can see from the slide, I guess, but at DKU, I spend a lot of time in the gym, but I also play netball off campus. I'm also a paramedic and I'm doing research in one of my professor's labs right now. And at Duke, I'm doing club lacrosse and ENC, which is like a Christian fellowship group on campus. Yeah, that's it. My major, I guess, molecular bioscience, and my track is genetics and genomics.
Great, thank you. Soham.
Hello, everyone. I don't know how to top that, Kyan, but it's pretty tough following you. But hi, everyone. My name is Soham Das. I'm a senior, and we just finished our finals. And I'm majoring in material science with the track in chemistry. For context, material science is the only engineering major. So if you're interested in engineering, we have chemistry as well as physics track. For a little bit about me, I really love research, especially in the field of battery technology and sustainability. And I really like scientific writing. So have been very lucky to publish quite a few papers. And I do research both at Shanghai Jiaotong, that is China's one of the top most engineering programs, as well as on campus at DKU. And I'm also the head resident assistant, that is the Rest Life. And I actually work directly with Emberly, who's up next. And it's such an amazing experience as well. So I would love to talk a little bit more about that. And you'll find me time to time at the gym. And I have been part of the volleyball varsity team for quite a while. I'm taking a break this session because of grad school applications. It's been pretty hectic. So I was not able to commit to it fully this session, but I'll definitely try my best to continue that as well. Nice to meet you, everyone.
Thank you. And Emberly, I think oh, no, Tommy, and then I think, Tommy, you're up.
Hi everyone. So I'm Tommy. I'm from Boston, USA, and I was born in the UK. So I'm a senior at DKU, and my major is environmental science, but with a track in biogeochemistry. And so at school, I'm in the gym quite a bit, and so then that leads me to do a few other fitness competitions. I've done a marathon on the Great Wall of China, and then I've competed in other fitness competitions just across Asia. And I also, really thoroughly enjoy research. I'm currently working in two different laboratories, one of them for a professor on campus, and then she was actually able to help me land a job working for the Institute of Basic Science in Korea, where I actually am right now this weekend to speak at a conference. And so I work in the Center for Genome Engineering.
Awesome. Thank you, Tommy, and thanks for calling in from Korea. And now, Emberly.
Hello, everybody. I'm Amberly. I'm from North Carolina, not quite close to Durham, a little bit further away, but I'm actually currently in Beijing. I finished my finals early, so I got to travel with my friend to see the Great Wall. I am class of 2028. I am studying behavioral science psychology. I am on RA. I work with Soham, like they said, a residential life assistant. So I'm one of the people you'd go to on hall if you had any questions or problems or concerns. I also am an IEM student worker. I work directly with IEM. You might have talked to me or seen me on some of the videos throughout campus. And I'm obviously in a very large amount of clubs on campus, as you can see by the slide. Things like psychology club, which is more towards my major, and then other things, which is the musical, debate, pottery, all those types of things. And I'm also helping volunteering with it for a Chinese teacher as their assistant. But I am really interested in behavioral science and psychology, hoping to do forensic psych, and I absolutely love traveling. Those are pictures from some of my travels around China and abroad.
Thank you, Emberly. And Anastasia.
Hi everyone, my name is Anastasia. I'm originally from Russia, Moscow. I'm a junior at DKU, but now I'm located at Duke for my exchange semester. I major in behavioral science with a track in neuroscience. And outside of the classroom, I would say that I dedicate a lot of time to some clubs. In particular, I've been serving as the president of the psychology club for quite a long time. And I'm also a peer responder and peer mentor, meaning that I help students transition to college easier. I also work at DQ Communications office, writing some stories about students on campus, and finally, research plays a major role in my DQ life, so I'm also willing to share more about it today.
Thank you so much. So these are our five panelists. Now we also have a couple folks, as I mentioned, who will be helping manage our chat. Christine? Yeah, I wasn't sure if I saw her jump in yet, so she might not be here. So I'm going to move forward. And David, I know I saw you.
Yeah, I'm right here. Hi, everyone. I'm David. I'm from Armenia. I joined DKU as part of the class of 27, and right now I'm spending my time at Duke. Um, I'm involved with DKU Selling Club since I came to DKU. We participate in competitions, train new members, and sail for leisure. I've also been involved with TEDx DKU. I was a speaker during my first year, and since then I've been helping with more technical things behind the stage. Um, Also love our Artstock LLC. It's not a big thing yet, but we're trying to expand it to include more and more students through some art programs and like creative hands-on things. And here DKU students get a chance to become a KSOP, which is Kunshan Student Orientation Peer Program at Duke. I've been part of it. We arrived early to Duke campus and got to learn more about Duke before our other friends arrived and guided them during the orientation at Duke. And right after this meeting, I'm heading to my Duke Aviators Club meeting. This is where we're building an airplane simulator that we'll use to train, or maybe not train, just kind of introduce general Duke community to aviation, teach them basics of flying an airplane. So yeah, I'm having a great time here at Duke.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. And then Allison and Nicole, as I mentioned, my colleagues are also here. I'm sure, many of you have been in contact with them as well. So let's go ahead and get started here. I am going to ask the first question. And so, Emberly, let's start with you. And let's start from the beginning. What was it like transitioning to China? What were some of the maybe biggest surprises you had, and did you experience any challenges, and how did you overcome them? So, Amberly, we'll start with you.
Sure, I have absolutely no Mandarin experience prior to coming to DKU. I came not knowing any Chinese, not even knowing how to say hello. And I didn't know too much about China. I wasn't super versed. But then I came here, and at first I was like, I'm in a new country where I don't know how to speak the language and I don't know how to get around. But luckily, everybody was super, super nice. And the DKU staff also was able to help me figure out how I came with my parents, so they helped us get to school and campus. And all of the people around me were so nice and helpful when I was trying to communicate. Like all of the Chinese, not only like the Chinese students would help me call my My driver, which is the food delivery system, but also just the general people off campus were super, super nice. I would say, yeah, talking was a bit of a struggle at the beginning, but I learned Chinese and I had lots of people around me that were able to help me feel comfortable right away and not like I was just facing a block of unknown.
Great, thank you. Tommy.
Well, so I was actually fortunate enough to have family not only in China, but in Kunshan. And so that made the transition, super easy for me. This was also not my first time in China, so I had already had the multi-entry visa that made a few other things a little bit easier. And I grew up speaking Mandarin, but I think that some of the, cultural differences, growing up in the US were there. And so it was a little bit of a culture shock at first, but I think like Emberly covered, the community and especially the Chinese students are so welcoming and so helpful that, any sort of issues that I might have run into, they were always more than happy to help step up.
Great, thanks. Kyan.
I think my answer kind of echoes Emily's and Tommy's, but I remember, so I was also kind of fortunate because I know someone who lives in China. She does live in Beijing, but she had booked my taxi from the airport to my hotel when I just got there. And the hotel staff were super, super nice because I needed to go to the mall to buy some stuff, and they helped me book the taxi. And then when I was at the mall, I was like able to call them if I got into any problems, and they kind of like talked to the driver and helped me sort it out. And I think I also knew absolutely no Chinese, but I think it was helpful because we have you have your phone so you can like translate and people are super, super willing to help you. So even though you don't know Chinese at first, I feel like it's not as big as a barrier as you think it is when you just get there.
Great, thank you. Soham?
Um, yeah, I might also have to go with that. I echo everyone else's answer. But a little bit of a different take, I'd say, is I came in with zero Chinese knowledge. Like when I landed at the airport at the midst of COVID, I was luckily one of the people who could come during the pandemic, and it was awful because I knew no Chinese and all I could say was ni hao and debuchi. But now it's gotten much better to the point where I really, really appreciate the camaraderie and the atmosphere that Chinese students have given me. And I have definitely, at DKU, you're only supposed to or required to take 2 years of Chinese, but I've chosen to continue all my 4 years. And I now look at Chinese as an asset, as a genuine asset for the job market. While I'm not directly going to go into the job market, but knowing Chinese to some extent has majorly helped me get an internship in China at like a big company, as well as the same time, like because of the performance, like with my language abilities in Chinese to English translation, or the same vice versa, or different languages, gives me a massive advantage. And because of that, I was able to like they actually funded my business trips to go to Saudi Arabia, where I call home, or to Italy, where we had business centers. So it's a pretty cool experience.
Great, thank you. And Anastasia.
So before coming to DKU, I have never been to Asia, and also I didn't have any Chinese knowledge. I know that some students, they at least download Duolingo app to learn some basic Chinese. In my case, I didn't do anything. I just knew ni hao and that's all. So I would say that I definitely faced cultural shock in the beginning, and also there were some peculiarities that I had to get used to in the beginning. For instance, I remember even during the first day, I was walking on the street and a lot of people were either staring at me or taking photos with me. or even approaching me and asking directly, can I take a selfie with you? Just because not all Chinese people have been abroad before, not all of them have encountered Westerners, so our appearance seems distinct for them. But I would say that this wasn't something disturbing. It was more of an interest for me how this society works. And then definitely I faced some difficulties adapting to food in the beginning because it's also different from what I got used to. But again, I feel that first of all, the DKU canteen in particular is diverse. Like we are not only exposed to Chinese food, which helps a lot. And second, over some time you just find the dishes you like and then you stop eating those you don't like and then you understand that this cuisine is also very nice. Plus Shanghai in particular has a lot of Western restaurants, so it's always a good choice. And then I would like to highlight like some panelists, they were speaking about how helpful staff at DKU is. I fully agree with that, but I wanted to point out that in my transition to China, what helped a lot is that DKU assigned me to a Chinese roommate, and she was very helpful. Like she understood everything I was going through as a foreigner who doesn't know their local language. So she was helpful with a lot of things. For instance, I had to go to the bank to get my credit card, and only after I get my card, I could link it to WeChat and Alipay, and then already get taxi on my own. But then it means that I couldn't go to the bank without taxi because it didn't even like link my card to the app yet. And she ordered a taxi for me. She also helped me to wash my clothes in the beginning when I had to pay for the washing machine, all of this stuff. So I really appreciate this random assignment for international and Chinese students.
Great. Thank you guys for those introductions and what it was like to transition. So, probably the most frequently asked question, certainly one of the most frequently asked questions is, what do our students do for fun, right? What do they do on campus? What do they do off campus? So, I'd love for you guys to share. Tommy, I'm going to start with you. What do you like to do for fun when you're not in class?
Uh, Well, like I mentioned in my introduction, one thing that I like love is, research and then also anything fitness related. And so I've noticed, especially now as I'm in my senior year where I have a little more free time because I don't have to take as many classes. I just go to my lab sometimes and I'll just sit in there, whether it's to do work or just enjoy the view from it. It is nice. It's in WDR, so that is one of our nicer buildings that has very nice labs. That's one of a few things that I do enjoy doing on campus. Off of campus, I mean, there's plenty to do. Whether you want to stay local to Kunshan, there's Dayu Bay, or which is like a local shopping area, but they also do water shows and stuff like that that it's literally across the road, or taking the train into Shanghai. All of those are things that are super convenient, and it really allows you to do like all of these different things that I love doing, and it's common enough that you could do it every day if you wanted to.
Thank you. Yeah, speaking of traveling, Emberly, I think you're in Beijing, you mentioned at the Great Wall. What do you like to do when you're not in class?
So obviously I do a lot of clubs, as you can tell, but I also absolutely adore traveling. I have been to Thailand and multiple parts of China. I'm currently in Beijing at the Great Wall. So me and my friends, when we're not in class, especially if we finish exams early or being as though we don't have classes on Fridays, we'll book a train ticket or a plane ticket and go adventure and see new parts of the world. Other than that, I really enjoy doing things like crochet. We actually have a big community of crochet and knitting people on campus. It's something that has a lot of interest, and it's a great way to meet new people on campus as well.
Thank you. Anastasia.
I would say that on campus, I really enjoyed the movie nights. They are organized. Now I'm outside of DK, so I forgot, honestly speaking, but I think they're organized every Friday or every Thursday night. So I really enjoy attending them. And then I also really like open mic night, where people who sing or play musical instruments gather together and perform. And those people who don't want to perform, they can just listen to them. Um, Outside of campus, I also love traveling, and I've been to a lot of Chinese cities so far. But also, I would like to say that I really appreciate that DKU organizes a lot of field trips. And this is something that I also love attending, because we've been to so many places, like again, watching movies or visiting some Chinese traditional gardens, or just going to the field trips which are connected with classes. I remember taking the class about global challenges, and then we went on the field trip to do the bird watching and talk about climate change. So I really enjoy joining such activities.
All right, thank you. Tyann.
Would say on campus, other than like going to the gym, I kind of spend most of my time with my friends. And one thing I like about DKU is that there's so many like open classes and stuff, as in like the classrooms. So some nights we will just connect our computers to the projector and have a movie night and just like buy stuff from Family Mart, like eat, turn off the lights and watch the movie and stuff. Sometimes we'll cook and bake when we're missing like specific stuff from home. So that's always really fun because we're just in the kitchen together and playing music and stuff. Outside of, do I mention clubs also, or is that a different?
Yeah, sure. Whatever you
Okay.
like to do for fun.
Yeah, so we last year kind of started a lacrosse club on campus. I was doing that for a while. We also have the African American Students Association Club, and that was also pretty cool because we did a bunch of stuff for Black History Month. So we got to like spend more time together, watch movies, have fun, do all these like really, I know they had like a painting night one night, so that was really fun. Um, when I don't have, so when we have breaks and stuff, I will travel with my friends, whether it's like in and around Suzhou and Kunshan or Shanghai. I know once I went to Nanjing and once I went to Hangzhou. So it's really, I think that once there's something that you're interested in doing, like Emberly said with the crocheting thing, so once there's something that you're interested in doing, I feel like you can find it in and around DKU, and if not, then there are probably other people who are interested, and once you meet them, you can kind of start that community yourself.
Thank you. Soham.
I think on campus, it's definitely going to be attending cool, fun RA events or events hosted by different clubs, because I feel like there's so many events happening at a time. You will definitely find at least something that's tailored towards you, or you might have a keen interest towards. So given that, I have to give a shout out to Residence Life, because as RAs, you host this ton of events, and I think it's super cool. So, and apart from that, I also want to talk about SAO, the South Asian organization. While I'm not on the board of it or like the committee, I love participating. So if you check out their Instagram, they've done super cool stuff to make us South Asians feel like we're still at home. And I think it's a pretty nice thing. As for off campus, just like everyone else, I love traveling. I'm currently in Wuxi right now. It's a city half an hour west of Suzhou, and it's a pretty cool, tranquil, like pretty peaceful city. I just wanted to come away from the campus chaos for a bit, and I'll be back tomorrow. But I absolutely adore traveling as well, and I think it's pretty worth it given how much of a benefit it is to travel within China and how convenient it is compared to traveling within the US.
All right. Thank you guys. And I can attest, I've been to a couple of the open mic nights, and I'm always blown away by the talent of our students. All right, so let's shift gears a little bit to the academic side. And Soham, I'm going to start with you on this one. Can you give a little bit of insight into, the classroom experience at DKU? Maybe you can share what has been your favorite class or your favorite faculty and why. Just any insight you want to share about what is it like being a student at DKU, academically speaking.
Perfect. Thank you. I'd say two very important things from the very get go. One, why I chose DKU to a large extent goes to its population and class size. I think the faculty to student ratio is absolutely, like genuinely, when I say it, absolutely impeccable, because you're able to make a genuine impact in the faculty's life, and the faculty can make a genuine impact in your life. Coming from, so growing up, I've lived in a lot of countries like India, Vietnam, France, Thailand, and over there, yes, the class sizes are bigger, but at the same time, I never really felt the most comfortable because I was not able to see the teacher for itself, or for herself or himself. And it's pretty annoying because I was not able to make a direct impact in someone's life. um Hence, when I came here, I was able to like have one-on-one meetings with professors who hold like two PhD degrees, and I'm like, why are you giving me an hour of your time? Like, you're crazy busy, you're like such a big deal, and why am I even talking to you? But it makes quite a big difference, the faculty to like student ratio, and I think it's so worth it. And the second one is one of my most interesting classes I've taken at DKU is something called an in research independent study. I think you should look it up. It's called a research independent study, or you can also do an independent study. So what happens with that is you might come to college being like, "Hey, I don't know what I want to do," or you might be like, "Hey, I know exactly what I want to do," but DKU doesn't offer it as a class, or it's not offered as a major or something. So me, I love batteries. I think I've mentioned that previously, and I absolutely adore it. But we don't have a specific class for electrochemistry or for electrocatalysis. So what I did, I just approached a professor. She got her PhD at MIT, and I'm like, yo, I need to pick her brain. So I asked her, like, would you have time, an hour a week or 2 hours a week, for helping me do an independent study? So independent study is basically a credit bearing course. You can choose it as 2 credit or 4 credit, and secret, you get a pretty decent grade if you do well. And what that has taught me is I was forced to self study because I was forced to give presentations every single week that I made about the exact thing I wanted to learn. And in the end, I was also able to make a 3D model of a battery pack, and I was able to use the DKU's 3D printers, which we have pretty cool and very expensive ones. And I was able to print it by myself in carbon fiber and PLA to present to my professor. And it was a pretty cool experience overall. And it only pushed me towards going forward to build better and more sustainable batteries.
Thank you very much. Kyan.
Okay, so even though I am a molecular bioscience major, I think one of my favorite classes was my literature class that I took in freshman year. That was Lit 106, which was American Otherness and Otherness in America. It was a really small class. I think there were about 6 or 7 of us in that class. And I think one of the reasons I liked it was because it was small and we had a really amazing professor who was just like so open to hearing all our ideas. And I loved the books that we read also. But if I was going to talk about like my favorite biology related class, I would say that was probably Bio 202, which was genetics and genomics, I believe, because it kind of like applied bio to more of a statistics foundation, which I wasn't used to or had never seen it in that way because we didn't do that like that in high school. So yeah, I think that was my favorite bio class and my favorite literature class. And I think that's why it's like super important to take classes outside your major because I think some of the best classes I had were the ones that weren't related to my major because I got to explore and think in new ways that I wouldn't have if I had just stuck to my bio classes.
All right, thank you. Anastasia.
So in my response, I would like to bring up some concerns people tend to have in most cases. So the first one is whether there is okay work-life balance. And I feel that for me, it's better at DQ than at Duke. Maybe I just overloaded myself at Duke because I wanted to explore as many opportunities here as possible. I'm not sure. But I feel that at Duke, for instance, you study from Monday to Friday, while at DKU from Monday to Thursday. So we have 3 days off. And for me, it helps a lot. First of all, because I can have some time dedicated to homework or my extracurricular projects. And second of all, because I still have some time to recharge myself. So I feel that work-life balance is perfectly fine for me. And I feel the second major concerns people tend to have is whether 7-week system is super challenging. Of course, it's not an easy one, but at the same time, I feel that it depends on your major because I noticed that those who do arts more or like humanities side, they tend to struggle less than those who do STEM. But as a person who does STEM, I would say that I still can manage that. And moreover, it pushes me to become better, to develop faster, because I feel that I know that the material is going to be introduced fast. I also know that I need to learn fast, that I have deadlines approaching fast, and I'm just going to work. I have no choice. And therefore, after some time, I find out that I can manage everything, and it wasn't as scary as I predicted before. Um, yeah, so I feel that I am for sure not against 7 week system, considering that I also love changing classes frequently and seeing new faces in the classroom, because I feel now at Duke when I take all my classes for one semester, I understand that I'm seeing the same people all over again, the same professors all over again, and then I'm just going to leave Duke and not being introduced to new classmates. But at DQ, it's definitely different.
All right, thank you. Let's see, Emberly.
So I had this absolutely incredible professor for behavioral science, 202, and they absolutely made me fall in love with my major completely. That was my best part of academics ever. I got to really learn deep into behavioral science and why people do what they do, but he also pushed me to think in new ways and write essays in new ways and think about things I'd never heard about, much like what everybody else said. But I'd like to echo that you're really encouraged to try new classes outside of your major, especially when you first get there before you declare a major. I came in so gung ho thinking I was going to do global health and that was going to be the end of it. And I took one global health class my freshman year and realized that was not for me, not my favorite thing. But I absolutely adored my social science class and my teacher and ended up in Behave Sci. So I think that's the benefit of DKU, the ability to be able to try new things and new classes, to do 7 week systems and be able to see new professors and try so many more classes than you ever would have been able to before. And so, yeah, that's my favorite part of DKU is like being able to try new things and explore and do academics and meet teachers from all over the world. So.
Nice, thank you. And Tommy.
I think speaking to the academic environment of DKU, the small class size and just, in general, the smaller campus size is actually one of my favorite things about this place. And that's because, you get to see your professor in the classroom or in office hours, but also a lot of these professors that are international professors are living on campus, with you guys as well. And while they might not be in your dorm, they'll be pretty nearby. And so that means whether you're taking, your morning coffee or you're at the gym or something, you're more than likely gonna see one of your professors. And then that allows time for very casual conversation. So it kind of takes the stress away from speaking to your professor one-on-one in an academic setting. And I think that is one really good for helping to form a relationship with your professor, but also just a really good way to get to know them. And then that can lead to all these different things. Like that's how I started working on the research that I've been working on for 2 years now. I just happened to run into my professor while we were both getting coffee in the cafeteria. And so that's one thing I absolutely love about the academic environment. And probably one of my favorite classes. I took this class, it was Biology 313, and it was called Ecosystem Services, but the entire class was just project based around geospatial analysis using satellites. And that was something that I never really thought I'd have to do with my major or anything. And while the class was a major requirement, it was one of the most interesting classes. And we had not only a DKU professor, but also a Harvard fellow teach the class. And so they were so well knowledged on the topic that, seeing their passion and their understanding behind it made me fall in love with it.
So thank you. A lot of you guys have mentioned research, and this is another question that we get very frequently is, are students able to get involved in research? Anastasia, I'm going to start with you because I know you indicated research is something you're involved in. Can you share just how did your involvement in the research, how did it come about? That's what people ask us is like, how does it happen? Anastasia, can you share a little bit about your story?
Yeah, sure. I feel that because I have never been exposed to research in my high school, I didn't even imagine what it's going to be like. So obviously, I also didn't know what to start with. So when I came to college, in the very beginning, I would say during my first semester, I didn't really strive toward finding any research opportunities because I still was unsure whether I'm going to major in neuroscience or not. So I first had to confirm to myself that is indeed something I want to do in my life. But then when I realized that I really love neuroscience classes, and I also saw that a lot of students at DQ are involved in research, I realized that I am missing something and I should also expand my influence outside of the classroom. So I started searching by asking those people in my major, like my classmates or some other upperclassmen that I knew were majoring in neuroscience or behavioral science, as well as I started trying to approach professors whom I also knew in my division because I feel that they're not a lot of neuroscience professors, so I already knew all of them and I just decided to speak to them. And the problem was that I didn't really have anything to give. I feel that a lot of students come with the mindset that professors are always there for them to help. And it's true, but up to the extent because professors are also developing their research, they're also interested in succeeding in what they are doing. So if you have nothing to give, if you have no skills, no way to present yourself, then I guess you're not going to secure the research opportunity right away. So when I received this kind of feedback from the professors I tried to approach, I decided to invest more into the skills I'm developing outside of the classroom. I started searching for some outside programs as well as taking additional courses to show that I'm involved in this. I love this major and I want to pursue research in this field. And after some time, I feel opportunities just started finding me because, again, I was investing in something and I was getting back from it. Not to mention that my biggest piece of advice is to take classes of those professors with whom you're interested to work on research. Because I also feel if you just approach professors and they don't even know how you present yourself in the classroom, how good you are at academics, then they're maybe going to prioritize those with whom they already worked before, or at least encountered before. But if you join their class and you show yourself as a dedicated student, as a student who is capable of things, then they're going to remember you because, again, as we already discussed, the classroom is very small, and if you show who you really are, then you're going to stand out, and professors are going to pay attention to you. And then quickly, I would also like to touch upon research opportunities at Duke. I feel that at Duke it works a little differently because there are a lot of labs, and at the same time, I have noticed that not a lot of Duke students are actually involved in research. So Duke professors are very open to hiring new research assistants here. So just before coming here, I started emailing people, I started sharing my resume, and then got responses, got some interview invitations, and eventually ended up securing sublab work positions here. So I feel that networking and open communication is very important.
That was some great practical advice. And, we always say there's a lot of resources and opportunities at DKU, but they don't come knocking on your door, right? So you have to, take those steps. And that's a really great start to our discussion around research. Thank you, Anastasia. Soham, I know that that's something you're passionate about as well.
Perfect. I think the one big word I'll give as a TLDR is email your professors. That's all you gotta do. It doesn't matter how big they are, where did they get their PhD. Yes, it can seem very intimidating, but all you gotta do is give a quick, short email and just say, hey, this is something I'm passionate about, and this is something you're working on, and I think we're a great fit. So that in any university around the world, there's two ways of doing research. One, you join a lab or a research group and do an ongoing research that they are conducting based on your fit with them, or is this something you're exploring? Or you can start your own research at a professor's lab. As for myself, my first research, I hopped around a few labs just to see what was the best fit for me during my freshman and sophomore years. And I got that just purely through emailing professors. And the research that I do at Shanghai Jiaotong, which is in Shanghai, as the name suggests, it's something I was able to secure through the career services at DKU. Because at the time, Shanghai Jiaotong was looking to collaborate with DKU on a few projects, and there was a good fit between me and another student, a senior at the time. Now he's a grad student at Carnegie Mellon, and between Shanghai Jiaotong, and we just continued that research since my freshman year summer. And it's been a truly eye-opening experience. And this research can again give you a lot as well, not only in terms of experience in what you like and what you don't like, but also at the same time, I just went to Stanford in the US for a conference because of a paper I published. And I really like publishing papers. I don't know if I mentioned that, and please feel free to check out my Google Scholar or my ResearchGate. And you can ask me as many questions, and I'd be super excited to share more.
Thank you so much. Cayenne.
I would say a similar thing to Anastasia because I didn't do research in high school. So when I got here, I was like, okay, everyone else probably has research experience, so no one's gonna accept me into their lab. But I had gone to a talk by one of the biophysics professors, and then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna email her, and I did. And I was like, I don't have any research experience, but I'd love to get some and possibly work in your lab. And she said, sure, you can come to my office and we'll talk about it. So I thought it was going to be a very, okay, what experience do you have? Like, what would you be able to contribute? But the meeting was more of a, what do you want to work on? So it wasn't, you have to prove yourself first, but more, I'm gonna give you the opportunity to do it. And I did work in her lab and I worked with some of her postdoc people, and we were able to kind of do a lit review and start the process of publishing a paper. So that was really cool because I got the opportunity to explore biophysics in a way that I wouldn't have been able to do without doing research. And even though I don't work in that lab anymore, I am still able to email her and ask her questions if I have any because she's really sweet and she's always willing to help. And I think that's one of the things about most of the professors here, even if you don't work in their lab per se, but they're always really willing to sit down and talk to you and kind of explain any questions that you have, whether it's related to like class or research questions that you have. Um, and also because we have to do our signature work, which is like our thesis, I guess, I'm starting to look more at doing something more related to my major. So I've been talking to another professor who's also really sweet and is basically said yes from the jump to me working with him for this. And I told him my idea, and instead of being like, oh no, we don't have the equipment for this, or we might not be able to do this, he was like, okay, we will make it work, however it will work. So I think they're just super willing to help you, and it's less of a you might be able to do research and more of a you can and you will do research once you're willing to kind of explore and figure out what works well for both you and what is available in the lab.
Great. Thank you, guys. Emberly, anything on research?
I would say I haven't really done a lot of research at DKU myself, but I have talked to lots of professors like everybody else, and I would say they're super willing and open to help you, whether you want to do research like with them or with someone else. Like I talked to a professor about an interest of mine, and he was like, I personally don't know a lot about this, but my colleague knows a lot about this subject and is super willing to help you and helps me make that introduction and connection. So that was really good. We also have summer programs where you can do research during the summer and stay on DKU's campus. We also, last year, they offered some virtual ones with professors. So you're still able to get that taste of home and still do research and learn new things and internships and that types of things. And the professors are also super willing to help you find internships and stuff on campus or off campus if you're interested.
Great additional perspective. Thank you. So now let's shift gears a little bit more to the fun side. I know research was fun for a lot of you, but let's talk a little bit about some of the clubs, right? And I'm going to ask kind of a different angle on this so we can keep the answers maybe a little bit short so we can get one or two more questions in. And Emberly, I'm going to start with you since I've got you on my screen. Pick a club. I want you guys to all think about a club that you're involved in that maybe one you weren't thinking about it. It like kind of surprised you that you got involved in it, right? And so what is that club and kind of the why and or how did you get involved in it?
I would have to say for me, it's actually the musical club. I am not a singer in any way, shape, or form. My voice would never be on The Voice, or America's Got Talent. But I actually was approached by my friend who did a lot of theater and knew I had enjoyed theater and was like, "Hey, would you be willing to help us be like in management or backstage or assistant directing kind of thing?" And so, yeah, that's how I ended up in the musical club with no ability to sing.
Perfect, perfect. Anastasia.
I'm just a member of one club, a psychology club. So I feel that I don't have anything to share about unexpected things, as I always knew that I would just go to psychology club directly, and that's all. But I would say that maybe as for unexpected things, is that I never really intended to take the leadership role because when I just came to college, I went to the club expo and then I found psychology club there. And I felt again that I don't have enough skills, I don't have enough knowledge. How can I contribute? But then I went through the interview process, they accepted me. And when I met the team, I understood that everyone is not judging me, everyone is there for me to learn more. And I started being involved. I started working on academic articles first, then we were organizing some activities. And then I started helping the vice president. And eventually, when the president went to Duke, I became the president of the psychology club. So I feel that I have been on a long journey with this club and I feel really attached to it. And now I'm at Duke, so I can't be involved. But when I come back, I definitely plan to join it again and help the current president. So I feel that this is something that is a major part of my DQ life as well.
All right, very good. And Kyan, how about you? Any clubs that surprised you or find yourself in?
Um, yes, I would say the club that I'm most involved in is AABS, which is African American and Black Students Association. But that didn't surprise me. I think one of the clubs that surprised me the most was becoming a peer mentor, just because I never saw myself as someone who people would be turning to help them with their first year experience. But I had a really good peer mentor my first year. But I kind of wanted to give back in that way. And it also helped me to be more open to speaking and sharing my experiences with other people. Because I mean, the transition to China is not easy, or the transition to DKU in a whole, because even if you're a Chinese student or you're international, it's hard either way. So I think becoming a peer mentor was the most surprising, but I do enjoy it because I do get to talk to the freshmen, and we also get to help out with events on campus. Like we had the major fair last year, and I got to be there helping people register and sign up. And you also get to go to talks or like just to talk about like study tips or anything like that. We have to plan these events on campus. And I think those are just like tiny things that make the experience better, because if you weren't a parent or you weren't as involved on campus, then you wouldn't have those opportunities.
Great. And Tommy.
I think for me, definitely a surprising club that I've become active in is the yoga club. I mean, I've never done yoga before, but I actually broke my collarbone somewhat recently, and I'm recovered now, but in that time during recovery, I wasn't really able to do much of anything that was a part of my daily life. And so my girlfriend, who's the president of the yoga club, just suggested I come by. I won't be able to do all the poses or anything, but it's more about meditation and, you know, being relaxed. And so I just went to one and then I started coming to, the Monday and Wednesday sessions and then the Monday, Wednesday, Thursday sessions. And then now it has just turned into part of my, daily routine and I love it.
Great story. Soham.
Um, while I'm not particularly in directly involved in any club anymore, I think residence life and the volleyball club has made a big impact in my life, as well as the football club. I really like staying athletic and playing sports, and I think it's a great way to meet people and, in the sense of, form a new community and find brothers from another mother. I also appreciate rest life to a very large extent because, as somebody texted in the chat, is when you come in for the first time, you're paired with a Chinese roommate, and it can be a hit or a miss. But for me, it was a massive, massive hit. And even if it's a miss, trust me, as RAs, we have seen it the relationship not start up on a great level, but by the end of the first year or by the end of the first semester, they're like, "Yep, we just had a few differences. Now we want to stay together for the next 4 years." So I definitely recommend, like I not recommend, but like I really appreciate Rest Life's intention with pairing this up. And yeah, shout out to my roommate. I absolutely love him.
Thank you. All right. So for many of you in the audience today, we know that coming to China means coming a long way for your university and leaving familiar surroundings and friends and family. And you know, when we speak with our admitted students, we've definitely heard that some were kind of torn over this. They were really excited about the idea of studying at DKU, coming to China, but they were a little nervous about the distance, leaving their friends. So I'm going to ask the panelists. I'm going to start with Cayenne. Any advice for those in our audience today who might be feeling a little torn about this? Cayenne?
Okay, so I think that at first it seems scary, but I think the best way to look at it is just as an opportunity to grow and like entering a new stage in your life because it was hard for me because I'm on like the opposite side of the world. You know, I'm taking at least 2 flights to get to China. One of them is like 15 hours long. So there was definitely I had definitely had to find a positive spin on it. And I think the way I did that was just to think of it as going into this new sense of independence and being able to navigate. Because I feel like if you can navigate China, then you can probably do anything, you know?
Hmm.
So once you get that experience and once you kind of try and find a way to make it work, then it should work out for you. I don't think there's anything that was ridiculously challenging. I think what I was most scared about was the language barrier. And as we mentioned before, that was not that big of an issue because we did eventually get enough Chinese to at least go out and find our way back to campus. And even if we didn't, we had our phones, we could translate it in real time and ask people for help. So I think it's really just a stepping stone into the next parts of your life. I think that's the best way to look at it.
Thank you. Soham.
Um, I'd say, wait, can you quickly repeat the question? I'm so sorry.
Yeah, just
I got
any advice for
detached.
somebody who might be a little torn, maybe leaving their
Mm,
friends, and
right.
versus, coming to this new place, new people, new potential friends. Any advice for
Mhm.
them about, making a choice like this?
Definitely. I think all in all, TQ is definitely a very unique experience, and I think you can definitely make the most out of it if you're involved. For example, coming from a background where my parents were very iffy about, oh, you're studying in China. They were like, very interesting. More like they were not really like, wow, okay, that sounds super exciting. They were more on the like iffy side about it. And once I was able to like pitch like a 5 minute presentation, like, hey, back home or like in a lot of other universities around the world, I'm not allowed to enter the lab on day one. Like I have to be at least a junior, take a bunch of prerequisites, and then I'm going to be like allowed to do research. And that's something I was super passionate about. So I was like, okay, at DKU I can do that. At DKU I can stand out like as me as who I am instead of like a big class size. No shade on UC Berkeley, but there's too many kids over there for you to like actually stand out like in a very passive setting. And it does make a difference. It makes a massive difference in my opinion because you get to connect with professors on a very personal level as well as your peers. So I think it's super nice to try something new, go out of your comfort zone because that's where you grow the most. So yeah.
Right. Thank you, Soham. Tommy.
I think, my advice to anyone who's a little stuck on trying to get that far away from home is because, like Kyan mentioned, or I have to take, 2 flights to get to China, probably over 30 hours of travel all in all. But I think or not even advice, but just maybe a point that I can say is that, my friends from home are still my friends from home. And I mean, it might be a little harder to talk to them and I might not see them as much, but every time I go home, like they're who I look forward to seeing, we can still set up weekly calls. We're still, my same four best friends from high school are still my same four best friends. And so, that's just a little piece of reassurance for you.
That's great advice, or great point. Anastasia.
So for me, it happened a little differently because although I was born in Russia, I grew up in a very small country in Europe, and I feel that this country is deprived of many opportunities that I could find in China and in DKU in particular. So I was very excited to go there, and I couldn't wait to leave my country, my parents, just because I wanted that independence already. So I didn't feel everything that we've been just discussing now. But I remember precisely that during the Q101, basically introductory session for freshmen, we were told that in the beginning, many students tend to feel this euphoria about coming to a new place. And only after some time, they're going to understand that not everything is perfect and there are some drawbacks and there are some things you need to adapt to and deal with. And I feel this is exactly what happened to me because during my second semester, I feel I understood what I left behind and how much I miss people who stayed in Montenegro, in Russia. So I feel that what helped me back then is that I started being transparent about my feelings. I didn't hide them. I didn't try to deal with them on my own, but rather I talked about what I felt with my parents, with my friends at DKU. And in fact, I even went to counseling services at DKU because it's also a very nice resource that provides support if you don't want to burden or intimidate other people too much and talk about your problems all day over. You can just go to counseling services and share what is happening in your life, what is on your mind, and they're going to provide assistance and support you. So I feel that once you already made this transition to college, no matter whether you feel some pressure in the beginning or you start feeling this pressure after some time, there are so many different ways of how to deal with it.
Thank you very much for sharing that. Emberly, no pressure, but you're our final responder. So, any closing words? No pressure for students who are kind of thinking about, "Ooh, can I really make this jump, this journey?"
I can tell you I was in that exact same boat not that long ago. I'm a sophomore, so it's only my second year at DKU. So I was right there with you thinking, can I actually fly however many thousand miles away from home from the US to a place where I don't know the language? And I would genuinely just say, take the leap. I have been so grateful to be at DKU because this community is genuinely a place I feel like I can belong. I get to see so many new parts of the world, learn so many things I never thought I could. So as scary and terrifying as it may be, know that there's people on campus excited to meet you and welcome you, and definitely be brave enough to take the leap. I promise it's worth it.
Well, that's a great way to end this panel. I can't thank you enough. I always learn so much listening to our students, and I certainly hope all of our attendees got a good feel for the DKU experience. You got a taste a little bit of our culture, I think, the students. I think they shared really, what they shared really reflects a lot of the qualities that we look for, right? Taking advantage of the opportunity, exploring, being highly motivated and engaged, pursuing those opportunities. So I think you got a really good taste of, kind of that, what that DKU student actually looks like. And in that spirit, I'm actually going to put in the chat, I'm going to put a link for any of you who are still exploring DKU, for those of you who might be considering applying to DKU. We have one more application advice session that'll be taking place on the 25th of October. And then we'll have several more before our regular decision deadline. That one before on October 25th is before our ED, our early decision deadline of November 3rd. We also have virtual information session. We have virtual campus visits led by current students. So if you want to continue to learn about DKU, attend one of these events. If you want a little guidance on your application, certainly attend one of the application advice sessions. But I want to thank so sincerely my panelists, David, also in the chat. Thank you. I saw you guys were so active in there. Allison and Nicole, thank you all. And just everybody, have a great rest of your day, great rest of your evening in China and other places around Asia. And we'll just look forward to staying in touch with you. So thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.